According to Days of Our Lives, DOOL, spoilers for Wednesday, November 16, Sloan Peterson, Jessica Surfety, learned that Chanel Dupree, Raven Bowens, had shoved her professor's wife off the roof via her father's confession on his deathbed. On Wednesday's DOOL episode, Chanel revealed her affair with Dr. Nathan Bedford, her professor in London, to Ali Horton, Lindsay Arnold, in the interrogation room. Even though those months spent together were magical, they also marked the beginning of Chanel's biggest nightmare. Chanel was completely won over when Nathan told her that his marriage was poisonous and devoid of love. One evening, Chanel received a text message asking her to meet at their preferred location, the English building's rooftop. When Chanel arrived, she understood Nathan's wife had deliberately provoked her. Martha Bedford claimed that Nathan belonged to her, despite Chanel's insistence that he would divorce her and wed her instead. As the situation worsened, Martha pounced on Chanel like a rocket, and Chanel pulled back without realizing they were perilously close to the cliff. The next thing Chanel knew, she was laying in a pool of her own blood on the ground after Martha screamed and fell off the roof. Chanel was sufficiently alarmed to admit culpability to the college police and sign a statement, but Paulina Price, Jackie Harry, intervened and paid to have everything forgotten, even paying hush money to the institution. In the Day's episode airing on Wednesday, Ali reassured Chanel that it was self-defense, but Chanel believed she now had to deal with the repercussions. She noticed the resemblance in Paulina's office after Sloan said her retaliation was very personal. Sloan was inspired by her resilient mother to pursue a legal career. Sloan received the call regarding Martha's suicide when she was actually enrolled in law school, which was never understandable. In his final hours, Nathan admitted the truth about Chanel pushing Martha after quitting his job at the school and drinking himself to death. Due to this, Sloan was able to find the evidence and follow Chanel and Paulina to Salem. Then Sloan established her business under her mother's maiden name and awaited the ideal opportunity to attack. Paulina leapt to Chanel's defense and wouldn't allow her go to jail for it. Sloan promised that Chanel and Paulina would each receive their just desserts before leaving. Gabby Hernandez, Camila Banis, demanded Gabby Chic back at DiMera Enterprises, but Stefan DiMera, Brandon Barish, was aware that E.J. DiMera, Dan Feuerriegel, wouldn't comply. Gabby started to smack Stefan during their argument, but he grabbed her arm instead. Li Shin, Remington Hoffman, worried what he was disrupting after that created a tense moment. Li promised Gabby that he would check into her request to get Gabby Chic back after hearing about her wish. Victoria Grace's Wendy Shin couldn't be reached, so Li chose to go to her residence instead. Stefan was irritated by Gabby's persistence, so he eventually grabbed her and attempted to eject her, which resulted in more flying sparks. Before Lee came, Alex Kyriakis, Robert Scott Wilson, and Stephanie Johnson, Abigail Klein, had a passionate kiss in Ali and Chanel's house. Lee called a few people after Alex revealed Wendy was out of town and was shocked to learn where his sister had just logged in from. After a lengthy flight with Johnny DiMera, Carson Boatman, Wendy was fatigued when they arrived in Jakarta, but she continued to respond to business emails for appearance's sake. After his shower, Johnny distracted Wendy by prancing around in a wet towel, but they got the job done successfully as a team. If Lee and EJ could have persuaded Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, Richard Warden, to travel all the way to Jakarta, he must have a posh lab, Johnny reasoned. Wendy eventually dug through the spending reports and discovered an office space that needed a lot of electricity. In order to record Dr. Rolf's confession, Johnny placed a microphone under Wendy's shirt using the film equipment he had brought. As Johnny touched Wendy, she became embarrassed. He could tell he was frightening her, so he inched closer. On Wednesday's Day's episode, Stephanie said that part of the reason she first resisted Alex was because of another guy who initially acted extremely into her before ghosting her. Alex talked about how his mother's pessimistic view of love had led him to pursue casual flings until he met Stephanie. After welcoming Kate Roberts, Lauren Koslow, for a visit, Chad DiMera, Billy Flynn, left Stephanie a voicemail addressing the Paulina situation. Kate recalled that Chad had expressed interest in Stephanie, but he wasn't sure when he'd be ready to date again. Besides, since Stephanie was now dating Alex, it didn't really matter. Kate appeared worried that Chad would lose his chance and merely wanted him to be happy once more. According to Days of Our Lives spoilers, Chad might take a risk with Stephanie in the future, so pay attention to DOOL. For the latest Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates, check CDL frequently.